G'day there, mate. It's your boy, I read Reddit turned Aussie hubby Marky, back at it again with another episode of r/relationship advice. Now, if you love this bloody good content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the Barbie, and let's just get right into it, shall we? I got a fridge lockbox, and it's destroying my relationship. For some background, my boyfriend, 28 male, and I, 25 female, have been together for 5 years, lived together 3. Our relationship was great, truly. We have a joint account that we contribute to monthly to handle joint expenses like rent, groceries, etc. Everything else is split. My boyfriend is 6'3", 200 pounds, and works out daily. He eats a lot to keep up his caloric intake, which is fine, except for this one issue. We buy snacks, and he always eats my half before I can even get to it. Normal food and ingredients he's fine with, but if it's quickly accessible, I will never get any. We argue, he apologizes, rinse and repeat. This is literally the only bad thing that he's done. Seriously, in all other aspects of our relationship, he's respectful and considerate. Snacks are where all bets are off. Anyways, last week I lost it after he finished an expensive cheese that we had gotten that I really was looking forward to eating. It was all gone after an hour. I lost my crap. I didn't speak to him for a day, and I ended up ordering a fridge lockbox. After our next snack run a couple of days later, I divided each snack in half and locked mine in the lockbox. From his reaction, you would think that I was murdering puppies. He said that it was disrespectful and controlling, and how dare I keep food that he paid for from him. When I reminded him that my money went into it too, he screamed that he didn't give an F and then left. He slammed the door so hard, a picture fell off the wall and broke. He didn't come back until the next day, but that was to change for work and leave immediately. He came home late and went straight to the guest room. 4 days of this. I broke last night and asked him to please talk about it, and he said that he had nothing to say to me until I got rid of the lockbox. Honestly, I'm completely appalled at this reaction, and I'm genuinely worried that he might be on drugs or having a mental breakdown or something. This is the most irrationally that I have ever seen a grown man react. He has ignored me, only to randomly ask if I've gotten rid of the lockbox. I am not getting rid of the lockbox. We're supposed to renew our lease next week. I'm considering cutting my losses and just leaving. Is this relationship even worth salvaging? Is there anything I can do to solve this? He's refusing to communicate unless I get rid of the lockbox, which is not happening. My initial reaction to this is, okay, yep, you're pissed off, you don't want to speak to him for a day. That's a little bit passive-aggressive, but I understand it. He didn't seem to want to communicate with you either in that regard, so I feel like you're on equal footing for pettiness in that situation. But holy shit, this guy turned up the heat. He just screamed in your face, shouting obscenities, slamming the door so hard that a picture fell off the wall and broke. Then he just left for a whole day and not speaking to you for 4 days? That is not an expected reaction to this news. That is extraordinary, and it sounds to me extra dangerous. He definitely didn't seem very trustworthy when he was slamming that door and showing as much anger as he did. Sounds like he's a bit of a roid rager, if you ask me. But at this point, it doesn't even feel safe to ask him if he's on roids, because we don't know how he's going to react to that information either. I just hope you can solve this situation amicably and peacefully. And now in the comments, so what I'm seeing is that he isn't even a little bit sorry for pilfering all the snacks. If he were, he'd stop. Now it seems that the man-child is pitching a full-on temper tantrum because you pushed back. Instead of saying, yeah, I'm kind of being a jerk, I can understand why you'd do that, he doubles down on his selfish behavior by pulling a silent treatment and this toxic temper tantrum. This is more than a food issue that's been kicked over. It's control and a deep-seated selfishness. I would bet you $1 and a donut that if you start rummaging around, you'd see there is a lot more of selfish behaviors that you just don't fight back on. Totally sounds like a little kid. You could even alter this story a little to make it her child. Pouting, throwing tantrums over snacks, slamming doors. I am so glad my teen grew out of that crap. Why doesn't he just buy more effing snacks? He can buy his own special snacks, just for him, but no. He has to have her half of the snacks and eat her special cheese. She says they never had problems before. I'm wondering if this is the first time that she was ever adamant about something. Yep, the first time she has ever stood up for herself and set a hard boundary. I've experienced this too many times in life, getting used, and when you finally stand up for yourself, they write you off. Entitlement is the root of abuse. Abuse isn't a specific checklist of behavior, it's a moral framework where the abusive person feels entitled to the victim. OP, check out Why Does He Do That? There are free PDFs online. Be careful. The lockbox is not what's destroying your relationship. Is he taking steroids? Do you know who Chris Benoit was? And OP replies, I just looked him up. Absolutely terrible story. You're not the first to bring up steroids. I don't even know how to begin dealing with this if he is on steroids. Steroids are no reason to stay with a psychopath. Don't let this become the excuse. And now, onto the update. Hey guys, I don't know if anyone wanted an update, but here it is. A lot happened. Boyfriend kept staying out late and refusing to talk, so I tried to talk to my boyfriend about the lockbox again, and I mentioned that I didn't think the lockbox was the real issue, but he was a brick wall. Instead, that it's abusive and controlling to deny him food. I kept pushing, asking if he was on drugs or cheating. I said him flipping out over something so small and staying out at all hours was suspicious as hell. I said that I thought that he was using the lockbox as an excuse to be out of the house doing something bad. Me saying that unleashed an hours-long screaming tantrum that ultimately resulted in him throwing my MacBook against the wall and shattering it. Honestly, I really thought he was going to hurt me. So yeah, called my dad, who called the cops. I don't want to get too into the legality of it, but I'm pressing charges for destruction of property. It was a $2,500 laptop. Dad and my godfather moved me out yesterday, and I'm now looking for a new place. I don't have a lot except for clothes and a couple of kitchen appliances. I left the lockbox, but took my snacks with me because F him. I left it locked too. Ex-boyfriend has been spamming me. I would block him, but I feel like I need this for evidence in case his behavior escalates. I texted him the first night that we had done, took our photos down, everything. He began ranting at me. Some gems include raging about how I still didn't get rid of the lockbox, asking for stuff he gifted back, telling me that I owe him money and rent for his new place, that I owe him a car. I have no idea why he would say this. I have never even driven his current car. That my MacBook was old and worthless, and he wouldn't pay for a new one. I bought it last year, brand new. After about an hour, I guess he realized that we were actually broken up, and he couldn't bitch me down anymore. Then came the paragraphs about how he was going to marry me, he loves me, he wants to be better for me, ew, love bombing, that I can keep the gifts, and that he'll buy me a better MacBook. He freaked out over seeing that I took our pictures down from social media. He then started sending me screenshots of his Google searches of engagement rings and telling me to pick one. He also sent a couple of voice messages of him just sobbing. Yuck, cringe. Any respect I had from him as a person is just completely gone. I want nothing to do with this man. I don't care if he's having a breakdown or on something. He is not my problem. I screenshotted his messages and forwarded them to his mother. She can deal with her son. That's the most I'll ever do for him again. As for me, I'll be okay. I have some savings, so taking on full rent for a place as well as a deposit and fees won't be too much. This has been a weird week. I feel like I should be sad, but like I said, I lost all respect and don't feel anything but disdain for him. My parents have been buying me my favorite comfort snacks and are being super supportive. They are gently pushing for therapy, and I think it's probably a good idea. I'll start my search once I'm settled in a new place. And now in the comments, I actually lolled when I read that you left the lockbox empty but still locked. F him indeed. I came here just to say this. I love the sass required to have done that, and it made me smile, along with the fact that she got away from him. If it weren't for the fact that your ex is 6'3", I would have thought that we had the exact same ex, since the MO and timeline fit so well. He would eat all my snacks and yell at me, and tell me that it was my fault that he ate them all because I took forever to eat them. Lol, 2 days to eat a package of Oreos? Really? And I did eventually just lock it all in an old Foot Locker with a combo. My ex then broke into it while high out of his skull, and he blamed me for locking food away and all kinds of stuff. He was abusive in multiple other ways, but it took me a while to put it together after I escaped. All that to say, I am so glad that you're out of that situation, and I wish you the very best. My world and mindset has become so much freer, and the same will go for you. You're controlling by not letting me walk over you and your boundaries. Yeah, F that noise. When people break crap in anger like that in front of you, they're telegraphing how much they want to hurt you. I'm glad that she got out. And it's funny they always break your stuff instead of theirs, as if it's not actually blind rage, but just a way to hurt you twice. One by breaking your property, and the other by showing that that could have been you. It's always the same excuse. But you make me so angry. If that was true, you wouldn't be deliberately only breaking someone else's things. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for starting a house project without discussing it with my wife? My wife Amy, 27 female, and I, 27 male, have a spare room in our home. We've gone back and forth since we moved in 2+ years ago about what we wanted to do with it, but we never took the initiative to actually implement any of these plans. We already have a sufficient number of guest rooms and an office, so the room just sits there, unutilized. I'm not that worried about it, but my wife brings it up now and then. These mentions are just of the unused room itself, not anything concrete that she actually wants to use it for. I made a new friend, Ben, 30 male, about 8 months ago, and it was very much one of those we connected from the first time we spoke to each other situations. I've actually never had that many close male friends, so this connection is especially important to me. The conversation flowed so easily, we had loads in common. I didn't think such a huge amount of genuine love and respect for a person could be developed in less than a year, but it's been very cool to experience that and to get to know him. One of the things that we bonded over was a similar love for art and music. Ben is way more talented than I am when it comes to painting, but it's something that we both enjoy. His birthday is coming up soon, and I thought on top of what else I was getting him, I could turn the spare room into something similar to an art studio for us both to use. I already ordered a few things for it, and was getting ready to jump into painting the walls when my wife came in and demanded to know what I was doing. I explained that I was finally fixing up the spare room. She said that it was unacceptable that I had done this without confirming with her that it was okay, but I didn't think that I would need to since it's been 2 years and the room has basically never been touched. Am I the asshole? I feel like yes, you're the asshole for doing that. From what I gather, this is a joint-owned property and you're in a relationship where communication is a must. And yet you decided to make a unilateral decision and take it upon yourself to do this. I feel like that's a big no-no, and I feel like you're an asshole for doing it, so you're the asshole. Now in the comments, you're the asshole. And this is not just about fixing up a room, this is about you allowing your friend part ownership and control over a place in your house that you share with your wife. What were you gonna do? Give him a key? If I were the wife, I would be thinking long and hard about having a spouse who gives open access to my home to someone he has only known for 8 months. My husband is pretty social and makes friends easily, but he knows better than to give a copy of our house keys to anyone without having that discussion with me. That's a 2 yes, 1 no scenario. You're the asshole to OP, who is apparently so blinded by a shiny new friend that he forgot that his wife also lives in the same house and has a say about who should have a key to her home, her safe place. Yeah, this is so hilariously not a thing that would ever happen between 2 female roommates. Oh, a guy I've been friends with for 8 months has a key to our place now. Can you imagine? You're the asshole, and the reason is that you're essentially getting a roommate without asking your wife. That is the real issue. You actually state that you would be fixing up the room as an additional gift to Ben. As others have posted, exactly how do you view the logistics of this? I certainly wouldn't want a third party to have unlimited access at any time to a room in my home. It'd be questionable to do this if it were an outbuilding or space in the garage because the studio could be used without physically going into the home, but even that would be something that you decide with your partner who also lives there. I know people who paint, and really, there isn't much to fixing up a place to paint provided it has natural light. In fact, it is generally the antithesis of fixing up because it is assumed that it will get messed up from paint and other materials, so the flooring will be shot. What exactly did you envision in terms of fixing it up? In essence, you bring in the supplies you need for the type of art you're creating, and that is it. All I'm gonna say is buckle up, guys, it gets a bit spicy from here. OP replies, I wanted to generally make this space a little cozier and homier. He and I both like collecting records, so I was going to get another record player to put in the corner for when one or both of us were working, paint the walls, also get a rug and some furniture that we didn't mind getting a little bit messy. You know, maybe some candles, a bearskin rug, and a sex swing. Oh, and a mechanism to lock the door from the inside. You don't want your wife interrupting you. OP replies, the sex swing and bearskin rug are inspired choices, but not really either of our styles. Haha, just joking. The fact that you haven't responded to any of the questions pertaining to your sexuality says a lot. OP says, I don't have any solid answers to give. You don't have any solid answers about your own sexuality? Yikes! I feel really bad for your wife. And OP says, this is exactly why I was avoiding these questions. Because you know that if you answer truthfully, you will have to admit that you are having an affair with Ben? OP says, because I don't want to listen to people saying they feel sorry for my wife because I'm questioning intimate details of my identity. Questioning people aren't inconveniences, or whatever this line of thinking is leading people to believe. We can sympathize with your wife and feel bad for the awkward, awful position that she's in, while sympathizing with you in discovering something about yourself that likely isn't convenient for you or for your marriage. However, choosing to go behind her back and gifting him a room in a house that she lives in is cruel on your part. You need to do right by her and figure out what you want without stomping all over her and bringing your confusion, physically, into the house. Don't be a cake eater. Have some empathy, OP. Stop being an asshole and separate while you figure your crap out. Show her the respect of being honest, if nothing else. And now, onto the update. This is going to be a fun one. First off, I'd like to thank everyone who was compassionate towards me in the comments. Ben and I sat down and talked on Tuesday night about everything. It was overwhelming, to say the least. He was gentle and sweet, as always, and allowed me the time and space to say everything I needed to. That night was one of the most beautiful of my life. Acceptance, love, and trust are truly so powerful, life-changing. Amy and I had a conversation about the spare room last night. I had been putting it off since my post a few days ago, and was hoping to wait until the weekend to talk about it all, but she insisted. I did as a lot of comments suggested, and used the renovation as a lead-in to talk about the other things going on. I told her that her reaction to it brought up a lot of confusing emotions for me that I have spent the last few days working through, and things continued from there. I had toyed with the idea of couples therapy, and it was something that she suggested, but I don't think it's a viable option. I love her, but I've come to realize that I was never in love with her like I once thought. And after getting to really and truly experience that, it wouldn't be fair to either of us if we tried to force something that I'm not capable of giving to her. I'll be splitting my time, staying in one of our guest rooms, / with Ben in his apartment for the time being, while we separate and work things out moving forward. Obviously that means the room renovations have been paused until further notice. I'm really, really excited for the future. And now in the comments... Poor Amy. OP had an emotional affair and then left her. Poor Amy. She deserves better. He's calling his relationship with Ben the most beautiful, amazing thing. Life-changing. I think we all see where this is going. A good portion of us saw this in his original post. It was a life-changing relationship. No one does it better than Ben and I. We have the most passionate in the world I think I've ever seen. You made a huge decision in the midst of a crush. It is what it is, but don't you ever go crawling back to that poor woman. OP replies, This decision wasn't made lightly, or solely based on my best friend. This was largely due to the fact that I realized I can't connect with women on the same level that I do with men. Which is fine, but while you're on an emotional high, your wife is feeling heartbreak and betrayal, and from what it sounds like, putting the renovation on pause, you want to also keep the house. You may not be in love with your wife, but you said that you do love her. So if you love her, don't treat her like trash during the process of a breakdown of your marriage. Don't be selfish. She hasn't wronged you. Are you in love with Ben? OP replies, I don't know if I'm fully prepared to confront this yet. While I subconsciously knew my feelings for Ben were a lot different and more intense than anything I had ever felt before, it was hard to even admit that to myself a little while ago. That's why all of the sexuality questions on the last post felt off to me. It was forcing me to be vulnerable. They also made me angry in a way, because literal strangers were pointing out things about me from a simple post/few comments that I struggled to see about myself. In an attempt to answer your question, if this isn't what in love feels like, I'm kind of scared to experience the real thing with how all-consuming this level of fulfillment already is. Is he in love with you? And OP replies, you would need to ask him that one. That level of care and overwhelming support that I've received all throughout our friendship, but especially since we had our conversation, certainly makes me feel loved. Well, that's why it's called an emotional affair. As you move forward, just be honest if anyone asks you if you've ever cheated. The answer is yes. If only you had this conversation before emotionally cheating on her. But at least you took people's advice and not drag it any longer. But why are you splitting time between the house that you currently live in with Amy and Ben's? Isn't that a little insensitive? I know that you guys have broken up, but you're essentially going to be reminding Amy that every night you're not at the house, you're over at the place of the person that you left her for. Why not just stay at Ben's while you guys sort everything out? I also vaguely remember a comment about the house being a lifelong birthday present for Amy. Just curious, what happened to that? Does that mean that you're buying Amy's share of the house? And OP says, I'm currently looking for a place of my own to stay for the time being. I don't expect my friends to house me full-time on such short notice. We haven't begun discussing how we're splitting assets yet. I don't think she's particularly interested in keeping the house, or if that's an option for her. So why not hold off spending nights at Ben's until you find out a feasible living situation for yourself? You call him your friend. Surely he'll understand that this is a hard time for your wife, and her feelings need to be considered given how her world, as she knew it, kind of crashed and burned. I know that you're excited for your future, but your callousness towards Amy is a recurring theme in most, if not all, of your posts and comments. Can't you find it in your heart to give her a break? Nutflation with the kidney shot, he just says, because he wants to suck Ben's cock? Oh my god. OP replies, I feel the worst thing either of us could do right now is isolate ourselves. We each have our respective people that we lean on in hard times like this. Cutting those people out or holding off seems ill-advised. So you're only thinking of what you want. Right. Gotcha. Yeah, OP's just a selfish asshole to the core. I'm gonna end this story there, guys. I can't deal with this story. This is too funny to me. This guy is just too much. He just does not care about his wife at all. I am floundered. I am flabbergasted. I do not want to deal with this anymore. I will see you guys in the next episode. Have a good one. Bye.